Sarah had always been a skeptic. She never believed in ghosts, spirits, or any of the supernatural things people talked about. She chalked up any strange occurrences to her imagination or rational explanations. That was, until one fateful night in her new apartment in the heart of the city. It had been a long day of moving, and Sarah was exhausted. She'd just finished unpacking and was ready to relax. She sat down on her couch, dimming the lights and opening a book. Her apartment, though small, had a cozy vibe with old wooden floors that creaked underfoot. The building itself was a relic, over 100 years old, but it had character. It started with a strange feeling, something she couldn't quite explain. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone, even though she was the only one in the apartment. The air seemed heavy, and every once in a while, she'd catch a glimpse of something moving out of the corner of her eye. She thought it was just her tired mind playing tricks on her. But then, it happened. As she sat reading, a figure moved in front of her, so fast that it seemed to blur. She looked up sharply, heart racing, and saw a tall, thin shadow standing in the corner of the room. It wasn't a person. The shadow was dark, darker than the room around it, and its form was almost inhuman, with long limbs and an elongated head. Sarah blinked, but when she opened her eyes again, the shadow was still there, standing completely still. It was as if it was waiting for her to make the next move. She stared at it, unable to tear her eyes away, feeling a cold chill crawl up her spine. Her first instinct was to grab her phone and call someone, but the shadow didn't move. It just stood there, watching her. The room became colder, and Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of dread. She felt paralyzed, as though the shadow was draining her energy, drawing her into its inky darkness. Her heart thudded in her chest as she struggled to break free from the intense stare. Finally, after what felt like hours, Sarah gathered the courage to stand up. As she did, the shadow darted across the room, moving faster than she could comprehend. It vanished into the corner where the wall met the ceiling, disappearing without a trace. Shaken, Sarah rushed to the window, throwing it open to let in the fresh air, but the oppressive atmosphere didn't lift. For days after the encounter, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every corner of the apartment seemed to hold some hidden presence. The shadows in the room began to look different, more alive, and every night, she felt the eyes of the shadow people following her. A few weeks later, she spoke to her neighbor, who confessed that she had also experienced strange occurrences in the building. Several people who had lived there before had reported similar experiences, feeling watched, hearing strange noises, and even seeing dark figures in the corners of rooms. One tenant had even claimed that the shadows would move, slowly approaching her at night. Sarah eventually left the apartment, but she never truly felt safe again. She later learned that the building had been the site of several tragic deaths over the years, suicides, accidents, and mysterious disappearances. No one knew exactly what the shadow people were, but Sarah was convinced that they had followed her, that they were drawn to the tragedy and the darkness that lingered in the old walls of the building. Now, years later, Sarah still has moments when she feels the sensation of being watched. She'll turn around, certain she sees something move in the shadows. She sees something move in the shadows. Though she's never seen the figures again, the memory of the shadow people lingers in the back of her mind, a terrifying reminder of the unknown that exists just beyond the edges of reality.